Hello, welcome back to Zanthyst Gaming. Today in Nephilim, we're going to take you through everything you need to know to be successful in Diablo 3, from the basic mechanics all the way up through the more advanced theory crafting builds and what you need to do to be successful in the endgame. We're going to start at the absolute bottom floor of how to create your character, what the different classes are like, and then we're going to get into the game and do a single player story mode playthrough where we'll talk about all the more advanced mechanics as we work our way through the game, as well as all of the basic mechanics while we work our way throughout the game. The first thing that you need to know is that the classes are divided based on primary attributes. The primary attributes in this game are strength, dexterity, and intelligence. The Barbarian and Crusader are strength-based classes. The Demon Hunter and the Monk are dexterity-based classes, and the Necromancer, Witch Doctor, and Wizard are the intelligence-based classes. Let's go ahead and look at the Barbarian for strength-based classes first. This class uses Fury to deal devastating elemental, bleed, or weapon-based attacks. Barbarians use a variety of shouts to buff themselves and their party. They also have several movement speed abilities to help their team fly through rifts. Another advantage of this class is that it's very tanky with some powerful offensive and defensive cooldowns. Barbarians will generate Fury with primary attacks, through shouts, and with passive abilities. Another really cool thing about Barbarians is that they are one of only two classes in the game that can dual wield melee weapons. Barbarians may also transform into berserk versions of themselves to massively boost their offense or defense. Let's have a look at Crusaders next. Crusaders are warriors of light, and as such, many of their abilities are wholly themed. This class excels in close quarters combat, but also has many potent long-range abilities. Crusaders have two signature items, the flail and the shield. Many abilities revolve around these two items, however, there are other melee weapons in addition to a flail that Crusaders can utilize. This class can also use laws that will empower the offense and defense of themselves and their entire team. Crusaders are very mobile and have several potent mobility-based abilities. Crusaders have the unique ability to hold a two-handed weapon in one hand at a slight damage loss. Now let's have a look at some of the dexterity-based classes. The first one we're going to look at is the Demon Hunter. The Demon Hunter relies on bows or crossbows to deal ranged damage. There are a few abilities that you can use a melee weapon for, however, for the most part, Demon Hunters use bows or crossbows. They also have traps and movement abilities as well. Demon Hunters use a dual resource of Hatred and Discipline. Hatred is used for attacks, and Discipline is used for tactical, repositioning, or defensive abilities. Hatred can be generated with a primary attack, and Discipline will regenerate naturally, much more slowly. Demon Hunters are the only class in the game that can dual wield one-handed crossbows. Demon Hunters are also amazing at speed clears and great for endgame content. Next up, let's look at the Monk. This class uses melee weapon and speed to deliver quick and decisive blows to enemies. Monks focus on channeling their spiritual energy into spiritual energy abilities and martial arts maneuvers. While using this class, you generate spirit with the primary attack. A unique ability of monks is to have one of several mantras or auras active at a time to boost the offensive or defensive capabilities of themselves and their party. In addition to this, they have several healing abilities that can be used to help themselves or their party. They can displace enemies, blind them, and cripple them. Support-based monks are often sought after in groups, and damage-based monks are great for speed clears. Now let's start talking about some of the intelligence-based classes. We're going to look at the Necromancer first. Unfortunately, in order to get access to a Necromancer, you have to purchase a DLC. The DLC gives you the Necromancer as well as 2 additional stash tabs, which is quite a bit of extra storage space, and if you decide you like Diablo 3, is definitely worth the investment. But anyway, let's talk about the class itself. This class has a number of undead-based summons that can be targeted to attack specific targets. Necromancers will attack with bone and death-based ranged and melee spells. They can also curse targets, debuffing them to do less damage, move slower, die quicker, or return life to the Necromancer on hit. In addition to this, Necromancers have a number of long, powerful cooldowns, including one that can freeze all enemies on the screen for 10 seconds. For resources, Necromancers utilize 2 different resources. The first one is called Essence, and can be generated with primary attacks or by consuming corpses. That brings us to the second resource which they can use, corpses. Corpses are the bodies of the slain enemies. They can use these to unleash a variety of deadly explosions or projectiles, or just gobble them up for essence. Yum? Ew. Let's move on to the Witch Doctor. Witch Doctors are an intelligence-based ranged class. This class focuses on harnessing the power of nature in order to summon pets. They also have strong nature, poison, and spirit-based attacks. Witch Doctors can be played as a caster class or as a pet class. Pets can be resummoned but cannot be commanded onto specific targets, unlike the Necromancer. Witch Doctors have a variety of movement speed increasing abilities, including one that allows them to pass through all enemies and avoid all damage while it's active. This ability can also be used to bypass the Waller affects on elites. Another powerful tool at their disposal is their ability to stun or fear enemies in place. In addition to this, Witch Doctors have several strong defensive buffs that they can apply to themselves. Witch Doctors use mana as a resource. Their primary spells do not generate this resource, but also do not cost mana either. Mana restores slowly over time, and you have a large pool to work with. Last, let's look at the Wizard Intelligence-based class. Wizards are masters of both the arcane powers and the elements. They use a one-handed melee weapon and a source, or a two-handed weapon, to channel their energy into devastating ranged abilities. Uniquely, wizards can empower their weapons with magic to increase their offense or their defense. In addition to this, wizards can also create powerful magical armors that can greatly increase their toughness. Another way they boost their defense is with short cooldown based abilities that give them shields, slow projectiles, or can freeze enemies in place. Mobility is also not a problem for wizards, as they can teleport around the battlefield. They also have several other abilities that can increase their movement speed as well. In addition to their devastating array of destructive spells, wizards can also transform into archons of pure energy. While in this form, wizards have a limited but deadly array of empowered abilities for a short period of time. Wizards also have a unique resource that utilizes a rapid regenerating pool of arcane power. Their primary attack costs no power but also generates no power, much like the Witch Doctor. Now that you've heard about all the different types of classes, make your decision on which one you're going to use. But before you do so, make sure you choose to create a seasonal character. This will be important for a number of reasons later on. First, it will allow us to group with people more easily, as most people play seasonal mode. Second, when you hit max level, you can do a series of quests in order to get a very powerful set of gear to get you started. So make sure you create a seasonal character if that is an option. If you're starting this game in between seasons, this may not be an option, but otherwise make sure you choose to create a seasonal character. After you've chosen which one you're going to use for these classes and you're ready to get started, we'll continue in the next video as we start playing through the game and talking about the different mechanics therein. Thank you guys for being here today. I hope this has helped you, and I hope to see you next time for the next episode. Bye, YouTube.